Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Stacy Kopsha. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a member of your Board of Trustees. Longtime members and new visitors alike, I welcome you here today. We are a people of many beliefs, traditions, sexualities, genders, origins, and love is the power that holds us together. I'm so glad that you're here. And for those of us zooming in online, I bid you a welcome too. For those in the sanctuary, there's hearing assistance devices available at the back of the sanctuary and also large print hymnals. There's the order of service, so you can follow along, and on it is also a link to our website, our website with a QR code where you can sign up for our e-news, which has all our upcoming events and opportunities. A few things that I would like to bring forward from that to you now. Reverend Margo, who's joining us today in the pulpit, has her office hours posted on her door outside. So just check that to see when she's available. She'll be available this week on Tuesday from 10 to 3. But again, they'll always be posted on her door. There will also be a special Christmas Eve candlelit service at 6 p.m. So we're looking forward to that. I hope you can join. A few other things. There'll be RE downstairs today. The children will be making ornaments. And then next week, we will be continuing a service project with the 99 stockings. So be sure and bring your kids to that. There's lots of other things going on, too many to mention. It's very exciting. I am going to put a plug in for game night because I was there last night. I see several people and we had a blast. So the next one is scheduled January 11th, Nancy Slocum's organizing. So please check it out. It's a ton of fun. With potluck before at 6 and it's all ages. And like I said, a ton of fun. I laughed myself silly. And I think David has a quick announcement, David Pettit, regarding potluck this week.
Good morning, everybody. I'm David Pettit, and I wanted to talk about this coming Friday is our third Friday potluck, which we do each month. There will be a gift exchange. Oftentimes we'll have a presentation of some kind, but this month we do the gift exchange, and I wanted to be clear that we're talking about something in the $15 to $20 range. Could be wrapped or unwrapped, it doesn't matter. And we're all familiar with how that's done. All the gifts go on a table, we draw numbers, and then in turn, everybody goes around and grabs a gift. Lots of good food. There's always lots of good food. Please join us if you can. If you're pressed for time and can't make something, that's fine. There's always lots of food there, but just a good time for everybody. If you've got any questions about it, you can talk to me after the service. I'll be hanging around for a little bit. Next month, we also have, so show up at about 11:30 and the entrance come in from the parking lot, but the entrance that you want to use is directly below this door here. So instead of going up the stairs, you go down the stairs. Show up around 11:30. We typically eat at about 11:45, and most of the time we're done and out of there by 1:30 or so. So everybody is welcome. Next month, our guest speaker for the potluck will be Rick Schultz from the South Hill Coin Club. Rick came and did a presentation a year or two ago, and it was well received. So he's going to come back in and talk something about old money. So again, questions, talk to me after the service. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. And there are honestly just too many things to mention, lots of exciting opportunities. So please sign up for your e-news. And if you need help accessing that, I'll be around after service, or anyone else with a board member tag would be willing to help you. Let's see, you're invited to join us after the service for a coffee hour. If you're new and you would like to be approached, grab a red mug and we'll know that you would like to be someone to talk to you. I'd like to give the land acknowledgement. I respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you today from the land of the Coast Salish people, including the Puyallup tribal nations. Land from which they were forcibly displaced. I affirm the continued sovereignty of the 574 federally recognized tribes, including the 29 here in Washington, and support those still fighting for their federal recognition. I acknowledge the theft, violence, trauma, and racism that Indigenous people have experienced at the hands of colonizers from 1492 through to the present day. I honor the resiliency of the Indigenous people and stand with them as they continue to fight for their land, water, visibility, sovereignty, and their very existence. Lastly, I invite you to set your phones and electronic devices to worship mode, to settle in, to take a deep breath, and open your hearts to learn and unlearn, to share and to receive. Let's gather together and worship.
Thank you, Mary Ann. That was beautiful. So you haven't seen me up here behind the pulpit for the last few weeks. If you're new, I'm the minister. I'm Reverend Margo, because I have been down with the kids program, getting to know our kids better and our families, and it has been a true delight. I also want you to know that I want to thank the volunteers who stayed after last week and popped up the tree. Yes. So this morning's opening words are from Gretchen Haley. In a world that feeds on moral outrage, we are here to cultivate moral courage. In a time that prizes picking sides, we gather to draw a wider circle. And in a culture that teaches us to get what we can and to ask, what's in it for me? We come to practice generosity and to remember we are all in this together. In the midst of life's bitterness, we chose to sing and to give thanks. to laugh together and to be keepers of beauty, to offer a place of belonging for all who come in gladness and in pain, to resist the push into the next moment and instead just come and slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater. For this hour and in this space, let us be the change we want to see. So come and let us worship together.
I'd like to invite Debbie Ramsey up to light the chalice. And if you'll join with me in our lighting words. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. And now if you'll rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 226, People Look East. And now it is time for all ages. If the young and young at heart would like to come up, we're going to be a little off to the side today, so if you want to sit around this chair.
All right, hopefully that will. The hello, goodbye dog. We're gonna have to find out. And I need to fix this just a little bit. All right. Wow, because I've been down in the classroom, I actually know who these kids are. It's so exciting. Yes! And you are all an awesome team down there, getting all those bags decorated for the homeless for Christmas. You did a great job with that, and there were a lot of them, a lot of bags to do. So this is a story about a girl, a dog, a classroom, and other things.
And if anybody wants to take this down to class, that would be fine. So you can look at the pictures again, and we are going to sing our kids out. Thanks, everybody.
We now come to the section of our service for our invitation to generosity. This morning's words from Jim Saxon. A religious community is like a river formed from the many streams of our lives that meet and merge and flow to the sea. As members and friends of this religious community, we share our time and energy, our creativity, imagination, and vision, our talents, skills, and gifts, and the streams of our individual lives to create a river that is both deep and broad, a river that's made up of many streams, sustains life, and refreshes the land through which it flows. But the river of this community also depends on our shared financial support that makes real our shared values and vision. We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work here in the community and in the world. You are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able. Would the ushers please assist?
And if you'll join with me in the words of dedication. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. And now if you will rise in body or spirit for hymn 323, Break Not the Circle.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not the circle, make it wider still, till all includes embrace and all the living. I'm under at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with you spoken, and people keep no score of wrong and good, until human bonds remain unbroken. On earth, the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves and on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
The reading this morning is from Brené Brown, and some of you may know this. True belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. That is such a pithy little piece. I've actually tried to commit it to my memory, especially the part, true belonging does not require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. This morning, we will explore what it means to belong and how it's essential to our humanity and our survival to belong somewhere and to something and to someone. And belonging is such an essential part of the human experience that for years it has been memorialized in our seventh Unitarian Universalist principle, the interconnected web of all existence. I will also talk about the price of not belonging for us in our everyday lives and the denial by larger society of the trauma of not belonging, and that trauma of not belonging is compounded for communities of color and for those who define themselves as transgender or non-binary, because there is so much societal message that they are other, that we are other. And then I'm going to close out with what we need here at TUUC for all of you to feel as though you belong. Our faith is now calling us, well, our faith has always called us, but it's really putting words on it this fall, to be a sanctuary people. But how are we going to do that? So what really is belonging? So let's just start there. Well, first of all, it's a subjective experience. Nobody can define that for you. We are unable to define that for the person next to us. But at its core, social belonging, which is only one way of belonging, but social belonging is always relational. It begins in infancy with a yearning to connect with others. Infants are wired to connect with others and to pay attention to those spaces around them. We are lucky enough to have a baby in our sanctuary this morning who we would love to connect with. And when that connection happens when we're young, infants become children who experience positive self-regard. There's also belonging to geographical place, like here, belonging to ideas, like our UU principles and our new UU values. Belonging might be to a family of origin or a chosen family, or both, in our friendships, in our larger community. I found belonging in both of my vocations, social work and ministry. And we belong to the earth and we belong to the cosmos. But it's the relational piece that I want to focus on mostly this morning. True belonging doesn't require us to section off a part of our wholeness in order to be accepted. It means our values are our bedrock. And there are so many places in society where we do section off pieces of ourselves because we know it doesn't feel safe to really let out our true self. We might be criticized, we might be misunderstood, we might be actually hated, and aggression may come our way. And I don't want to minimize that need for discernment in any way. And that discernment is important. To understand how deeply and vital belonging is, it's for younger and for older adults. A couple years ago, I read the book by Vivek Murthy, who, the book is called Together, The Healing Power of Human Connection in a Sometimes Lonely World. And Murthy was the 19th Surgeon General of the United States, and I believe he served under Obama. And then he wrote the book after he left that post. But he talks about the health risks of feeling a lack of belonging. What he did was he compiled research that had already been done, and especially research that had been repeated, because then you know it's more likely to be valid when different groups are coming up with the same results. And what he found is that chronic loneliness puts people at as much risk as smoking. High blood pressure, heart disease, early cognitive decline, and early death. Also, that these are the same issues that plague people that our society says don't fit or aren't the norm. Those are the same health consequences that people of color experience because they live in a society with a white norm. So the statistical gathering, he says, found that people with strong social relationships are 50% less likely to die prematurely than people with weak relationships. The 25% of people who surveyed did not have a single person in their lives with whom they discussed important matters. 1 out of 3 adults over the age of 45 described being lonely. And the Kaiser Family Foundation really wanted to look at the spread, including young adults, and found that 22% say they are often or always socially isolated. That's over 55 million people. So Vivek says what has happened to us over time is that we no longer hear each other and we suffer physically, spiritually, and emotionally because of that. And just as that health information was starting to tumble out over the last couple of decades, human contact around us continues to decline. I notice this the most for myself when I go shopping. when I go to Target or I go to Home Depot or I go to the grocery store, because of self-checkout, I can get through the entire errand, through the entire store with not interacting with another human being. I'm not blaming self-checkout. It's a great option. So me being me, what I do is I look for opportunities to chat with people throughout the store because I don't want it to be a humanless experience. My favorite store employee works the early morning shift at Home Depot. And I do mean early. I think she gets there at 5. So when I need something for a project, I make her a latte. I'm a coffee addict. I have a really nice espresso machine at home, but I make her a latte and then I head down to Home Depot so I can chat with her about my really misguided home improvement skills. I have a plan. It's not necessarily a well thought out plan, but it's a plan. So she laughs with me about my lack of skills in this area, which paradoxically, that laughter, that moment of joining, that moment of humanness of like, yeah, we've all tried to replace our own faucet and look what happened. Somehow I get less stressed and I get more emboldened. Because now she's joined me and we're in it together. So I go back home, and when I'm in the middle of a project and something unexpected happens, and something unexpected is never good, right, in your home improvement project, I kind of re-experience this laughter and I'm like, okay, this is a bump in the road. With some, and I go back to Home Depot. So with some practical advice, the right tools, and knowing that she's become a member of my team, I'm more self-confident and I don't panic during the bumps in the road. And then I can pop up YouTube and go, I actually can do this. I've helped her out with a few things as well, and I write her great customer reviews. It's reciprocal, it's relational. And I feel like we're at the point that if she ever said, hey, I have to put my car in the shop, would you be willing to pick me up at 5 a.m. and get me to work? I'd say, yeah, sure. Here's my cell number. So it works the same way when things are incredibly hard. Someone's gift of presence, of being that I'm on your team, I'm with you in this. Even though I'm not at your house doing the work, I'm with you in this. It makes it easier to cope with the challenges that are before us. I am lucky to have some resiliency that I have either been given in my early childhood. And my early childhood was not a bed of roses. It was complicated. But I had aunts and uncles and grandmas to help shore me up and help reflect my worth as my parents struggled with health issues and some other things and economics. Many of us have also had that good fortune of being born into a family that celebrated our arrival and provided what we needed as kids for our sense of belonging to grow, which are human warmth, attentiveness, acceptance, predictability. Doesn't that sound like a warm, snuggly bathtub you want to get into at the end of a day where you're all achy and creaky? You just want to get in that warm bathtub of attentiveness and acceptance, of being seen. So that child then has a better chance of honoring their true self. And not that those kids don't have bumps in the road, they do, but they know that that underlying stability is there for them. So they can take that true self into the adult relationships. But for other kids, it's harder because what if parents were working multiple jobs and there wasn't a lot of time and energy at the end of the day? Or maybe, like in my family, there were some medical issues with one of the parents that kept them from being predictable. But grandparents and mentors and the consistency of friends can help mitigate those emotional losses for those kids. But there are also children who live, oh yeah, and that's us, by the way. We're mitigators by making a community here for our kids. But there are also children who've lived in abusive homes or places of other trauma. Those kids tend to learn how to take care of others rather than taking care of themselves. Or they take care of themselves to such an extreme they can't let others in. Their true sense of self is hidden with fear and insecurity. And the antidote to this is to be seen and loved for who you truly are. It's created only in a safe space, and a space that we're hearing about of emotional sanctuary. So I want to shift a little bit and talk about how this fits into our life here as a congregation. Because we are a chosen family. And I've really been thinking a lot this fall about our anxiety is high, our worry is high, and we need to be, it's not that you weren't good at it before, but I want us to become even more discerning about how we meet our collective needs here. I want to begin with a quick little story from Unitarian Universalist Sarah Lambert. Lambert states her life changed when she was 21 years old and she was studying in Kenya. And while in Kenya, she went to work on this volunteer project where she met some Maasai warriors. The warriors were also pitching in building bricks for a local schoolhouse in a really rural area that would not have a school otherwise. And over a meal, one of the young men asked her who her people were. Just think about the phrasing of the question. Who are your people? And she said, I stuttered and I stumbled and I was trying to explain that I was from this area on the Mississippi River and what the land looked like. And he got more and more puzzled and finally said, I know who I am. And the conversation opened, and what she understood him saying is, I know who I am in community. I know who I am as part of the natural world. And I know myself to be a member of one tribal body. I belong, and therefore I am. I know who I am. So that stayed with Lambert in a really alive way. And then she got back to Boston and she experienced the bombing at the Boston Marathon. So she was really thinking about who are we as a society? What do we need to do to heal from this? And this was her answer. We belong to one another irrevocably. We belong to the ones so broken by fear and alienation that they strike out without conscience. We belong to the ones in harm's way and those who love them. She's talking about first responders. We belong to the angry, the compassionate, the confused, and those who don't seem to notice much of anything. We belong to the young and the old, the able and the challenged, the immigrant and the Aboriginal. We belong to the breezy, sunny day, the rocks, the rivers, the moving earth, and the squirrels in the trees. We belong to a love greater than fear and to a power beyond the sum of our parts. We are not alone. So to bring this back here, we are not alone. And you already know that, or you wouldn't be in the sanctuary this morning, or you wouldn't be out there on Zoom. You made it out of bed. You made it away from the coffee machine. And if you're on Zoom, you might still be on your couch, and that's okay. You came through the doors this morning, either in person or through technology. And congratulations, because by doing that, you are claiming your birthright, your inherent worth, your need to be seen. There was a recent message from our current Unitarian Universalist Association president. And she's not been our president very long. And I want you to know, if she were here, she would call you all beloveds. and look at you in a way that you knew she meant it all the way down into her heart and her gut. So she's talking about our status in the post-election time and asking us to be sanctuary people. She states, "We are faithful people, drawn to communal care, not just by our ethics, but by our historic religious tradition. Our congregations are rare places where people can be vulnerable enough to build trust and capacity for resistance. Faith in each other is a source of great strength, and we can provide inclusion by centering those most directly impacted by oppression." So basically, we can do this for each other. The capacity already lies within us. We're wired for this. But we get in our own way, which is our insecurities or our not knowing what to do next. So I want you all to start thinking about what creates a feeling of belonging here at this congregation. If you're newer, you might want to focus on what actions and words on our part would help you feel more welcomed and more a part of this community, because we want you to feel that deep, deep belonging and that it be part of our bedrock here. For those of you who have been here for a while, maybe you felt that belonging. Maybe it was someone noticed when you were struggling, or perhaps it was just an affirmation, a kind word. Maybe it was some physical help with something you needed, like unpacking my car when it's full of junk, or a ride to a medical appointment. Perhaps it's just someone seeing you for who you really are and enjoying who you really are and celebrating you for it. I also don't want to assume that if you've been here a while, that you experience that belonging. Maybe you've been here a while and you don't fully experience that feeling. So I'm going to rat Dave and Tanya out right now. Dave and Tanya and I have been meeting over the last few weeks as part of recreating the caring team and kind of having it just be bigger than that tangible help with rides and meals, which is super important, but we want to expand beyond that. And so we want people to start thinking about what is it you really need, because we don't want to be making assumptions about what you need. So you'll find a sticky note on your order service. I want you to take home the sticky note and put it somewhere that allows you to see it from time to time. You're not going to fill it out today. Well, I mean, if you fill it out today, I'm not going to say, don't give that to me. You can fill it out, but really, I want it to just be a reminder for you to start thinking about this. I usually have 2 or 3 sticky notes taped to the dashboard of my car so that I can think about it every time I get in there, but you may have better places that are probably less distracting to your driving. Although I tend to only ponder at red lights. But in January, the caring team and I are going to ask you to share that as you feel comfortable doing. You can share it anonymously. Not. We'll figure out a way. We think we're going to have a little art display over here by the coffee, but we haven't got it quite figured out yet. But I'm hoping it'll look like a beautiful mosaic. So stay tuned. And especially also stay tuned to this idea of, can you accept the warmth that people want to give you that would create true belonging? Because that's part of it too. It has to be offered, but you have to be willing to say, wow, I'm worth it. I'm going to take that in. A deep spiritual life, or a deep meaning making, if that term fits better for you than spiritual, involves being in a relationship with one another and with the earth. We all got here to this imperfect community, showing up week after week to be challenged by how our Unitarian Universalist values, which come out of our history, our lived history, those values call us to be kind and to accept one another and to engage in justice work in our wider world. We're imperfect, we're learning, we bring our best, we bring our worst, we celebrate, we organize, we teach, we serve, we vent, and we demonstrate. This is also a place where I hope your gifts are recognized and put to use. We learn to bless one another. We learn what right relationship looks like and how we have to be vigilant to keep right relationship, because it's easy to get a little lax around that. To learn to express what we want and our hopes and our pain. And we learn to trust. We break that trust. We begin again in love. So let this be a place where we belong, that we can test ourselves, and that we be a lifeline for each other, and that we be of service. Amen. For setting the attention, the sticky note goes home with you, unless you're just dying to fill it out and give it to me today. But I really want you to spend some time with this, but maybe we just take one quiet moment here to close our eyes, to think about what bubbles up. Amen. We will now join in singing 298, and Patty is going to lead us again. Thank you.
Wake now my senses. Wake now my senses and hear the earth's call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim whose quest for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
I have lost part of the closing words, but I'm going to, they are called Saved by Teresa Novak. There are healing waters here and hands with soothing balm to ease your troubled days. Bring your wounds and aching hearts, your scars too numb to feel. Your questions and your complaints are all welcome here. Rest a while. Let the warmth of this community surround you, hold you, heal you. When you feel stronger, just a little bit, notice those who need you too. They're here, they're everywhere. Weep with them, smile with them, laugh along the way. Pass a cup and drink holy fire. Take it with you into the world. We are saved and we save each other again and again and again, especially babies.
All right. In a moment, we will say our closing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And if you'll rise in body or spirit for our closing blessing song.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Oh, yes, yes, and I think that these lines are directly from yours. And the problem is not my view is,